test. Even if you know the material, when someone says test, a lot of people get anxiety. It's frightening because it's a chance of you failing. But if they gave you the same test, knowing the material, and just told you to complete this package, you'd be able to complete it with ease because you didn't feel the pressure of the word test. Well, dealing with letting go of habits is a situation, not a problem. The situation is not thinking about anyone else but yourself. You're challenging yourself to let go of who you used to be. See, once I got so far and letting go of my habits, it was a challenge for myself because it's easy being numb and staying in a cloud so that you don't have to deal with what's going on in your life to a certain capacity. You don't have to deal with friends, family, or doing nothing that you don't want to do because you're high. And depending on who knows about your habit, it becomes a big crutch. And the worst part of being high, aside from allowing a drug to control you, is when you don't see the drug controlling you. If you ever been in a situation where you have money to get the drugs, but the drugs are not available, you got money to get high, but there's no drugs available. You will give your whole day and evening trying to locate those drugs, dealing with people that you usually don't deal with, because you have no understanding over the fact that you have money available and you can't get high. If that is not control, it's like just swinging it over your head and you jumping up trying to catch it. And when you finally get your hand on something, you sitting there shaking, whether it be a blunt or something heavier or even a drink. And after you get that first little hit, it's like, man, it wasn't even all that. I don't even know what I was doing like that. You haven't accomplished anything else in your life because you didn't have no understanding on why you had money and you couldn't achieve getting that high. How strong do you think you need to be to challenge yourself to be sober and vigilant of what's going on around you? You can't do it alone. If you can do it alone, then you may not have even gotten a situation where you depended on it in the first place. If you think about doing it alone, then it becomes a problem, which, as we just talked about, is just like the word test, a lot of anxiety. Once you decide to quit doing something, anything that's unhealthy to you, that's not good for your life, it becomes more available times 10. When I decided to stop smoking marijuana, prior to that, I tried to get somebody to give me some. The package that I wanted, they was talking about $150. I was like, nah, that's all right. I ain't trying to buy no pack like that. Talking about the quality and everything. So a couple months later is when I was going through my transition, and I just stopped, which I didn't think that I would ever stop smoking. It was a part of me. But the more I studied my word, the closeness that I wanted to feel with my Heavenly Father, it didn't fit the places that I had to go to get the drugs, the people who I had to deal with getting the drugs, it just didn't fit. You call in advance 15 minutes away, and they still have you wait sitting in the parking lot when you get there, and you hoping the police don't come while you waiting. I mean, the whole ditching and dodging, having it in our car, worried about getting pulled over. I mean, it just did not fit with the studying that I was doing to get closer to God. Because I needed to see God's favor in my life. I needed to see a change in my life. And from where I was standing, it didn't appear that I was doing a great job of it. So I needed to put my hands up and allow God to make the moves for me so that I can get a different outcome of what was going on in my world. Because the decisions that I was making didn't appear to be getting me to where I needed to be or wanted to be. I was not happy. Going back into John, verse 6 from John 15. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. I didn't have any covering. When you're out there in the world, that's how you end up being stuck on the drugs. Because you're out there with no covering. There's no way for you to have a sane mentality about anything that's going on. Because your whole existence is surrounded by this drug or this drink. Now you can say you can handle it. It's not a problem. But it is a problem. Because if it's something, if you can't get a hold to it, everything that's going on in your life stops. If you're running out and it's bill time, one of the bills is coming up short because it's mandatory in your life. You have to have it. If you don't have it and you don't have any money for it, You just might interact with people that you usually wouldn't interact with because they got it. So it is taking a dominant force in your life. It's controlling your life. Now, the easiest thing is for you to be out in the streets and play Russian roulette with your life with some of the most hardcore drugs and alcohol. And an idle mind for the devil to make into his playground. Believe it or not, it sounds extremely reckless, but that's easy. It is so easy to be high and drunk and in a cloud. That is easy. But why not challenge yourself to do what's not easy, but is possible, and change so that you can see what you're truly capable of? Are you really capable of being a happy person without being under the influence of an artificial stimulant? Are you capable of that? Or will you just live your life being fake? Because that's basically what you're doing. You're fake if you have to have an artificial stimulant in order for you to get through life. You really don't even know who you are. Because you stay high. You don't know who you are. But everybody else knows who you are when you can't get a hold of that drink, or you can't get a hold of that drug, or you get too much of it. Are you capable of being one of the people that you may have respect for when you see them handling life without an artificial stimulant? Or are you one of the people that use the crutch? Because I was drinking since I was like 13, smoking weed since I was 12. I cultivated my entire life around a blunt. I only got jobs that will allow me to smoke weed. And even though weed is legal now in a lot of places, I considered moving back to where it was legal. I have to think about what makes moves in my life. The fact that, can I live without getting high? Can I be happy without getting high? Can I interact with people without being high? It's like keeping your shades on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I didn't even know what I liked and what I didn't like as far as creative hobbies because I stayed high. And personally, didn't want to face up to some of the insecurities or the people or the situations that I had not gained control of in life. And it was easier to stay high because it kind of stayed in one position. Just one position. And even if you bump up a couple of steps, every little thing you do the celebration is getting high.